Blade, we can't catch a break by 1 second. By 1 second. But all right, folks, we are ready to rock and roll with the Kaspersky King of the Hill Arena. This happens about once a month, and €1,000 is pumped into the esports scene through these wonderful folks. This is a best of 5. There's going to be 4 best of 5s in total today. But this is the first one. And spawning here in the lower right corner of the map, playing for the team PK, it is the Orange Protoss, GungFuBanda.
In the upper left, as the Red Terran, it is going to be Millennium's ForGG.
Pretty well-rounded guy when it comes to StarCraft 2.
That's true. I believe TVP might be his worst matchup, though.
Now, there is actually something I want to talk about before we get too far into this, guys. A lot of you probably don't know who GungFuBanda is. This is, I mean, well, it's ForGG, first off. Everyone knows ForGG at this point. If you don't, you're still new to StarCraft. But GungFuBanda is a player who competes in the Zotac Cup on a very weekly, frequent basis. It wasn't until recently that he was able to actually get enough points to make it to the monthly final. We see him in, like, the semifinals, the quarterfinals. He is a rough opponent to deal with. I'll phrase it like that for now, because I don't want to give him a bad rap. But he is pretty well, I guess, experienced when it comes to all-ins, if we want to just leave it at that for now. So we'll see how he plays against ForGG, because I've never... This sounds, again, I'm trying not to paint a bad picture of this guy. It could just be the games they've casted him, but I've yet to see him really play a true macro game in StarCraft 2. You know what I mean?
Oh, I didn't know that, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm really not trying to paint a bad picture of this guy, but the thing is, he's here. He's ready to kick ass. We just recently had players not too unlike him take out Scarlet in Shellcraft America. So for him to possibly, you know, blink all in ForGG on a map like Belshir, it could work. It really could. But he might try and actually take this to the macro game. Maybe it's just that small portion where we've seen him in Zotac that we got the wrong impression. One way or another, can't wait to see what happens for this first best of 5.
Well, if what you're saying is true, then he might just be like ForGG's kryptonite, because ForGG is known for not getting all the defenses necessary, for cutting corners and not knowing how to like survive. Like, because people will cut corners, though they won't put a bunker down, right? A lot of the time in TVP, but then they'll have good enough scouting that when it comes to it, they'll have the bunkers down. ForGG is either incredibly unlucky or just the worst at scouting. I'm not sure which, and that he never seems to see it coming, and he only has, you know, no bunkers or only one bunker, or just never works out.
Well, gets a pretty good scout for now. He'll catch the Nexus, of course, on his way out. 2 and 2 on gas for the time being. Not an initial investment, so come back here for another scout to see if the gases were pumped up. Of course, one of them was amplified to 3. Not that that's a big deal at the moment, because without 3 on 3 on gas, you're not going to see the Oracle anytime soon, but you will see that Mothership core come out and chase off this SCV.
Yeah. Well, seeing the Nexus means that anything that you would expect, like any cheese, is going to be like a minute, you know, to even more later. So you can definitely rearrange your time schedules on that. And the command center on the high ground, it's actually interesting because he didn't go for a Reaper expand. He just, you know, that was an SCV that was scouting, where usually you would see Reaper expand and then you wouldn't have a whole lot behind it. So that's why, you know, it would be really good to put it on the high ground. But if you're going for a reactor expand, it's just like being really, you know, kind of cautious. Not putting it on the low ground.
Well, Stargate on the way here out of GungFuBanda. I think you and I, as Terran players, know what's probably coming out of this monstrosity.
Yes, pretty sure that's going to be an Oracle, and ForGG is getting a Widow Mine. So I've been seeing a lot more of this. It was like a build that went out of style, but it's coming back in, and I really think it's because the Oracles are back in, where Widow Mines are really good at defending, and they'll pop, the Oracle will come, you can kill the Oracle, and you'll still get your drop down in like relatively the same time as if you wouldn't have defended with the Widow Mine. Yeah,
and of course the drop zombie I was speaking of, guys, is your classic 4 Marine 2 Widow Mine drop. The reason it's kind of a bit of a headache to deal with as a Protoss player, of course, detection is somewhat limited. Ooh, that Stalker's dead. That Stalker's just straight up screwed.
Actually, I think it should have detonated on the Widow Mine, honestly, because then it wouldn't have a shot for the Oracle. Now it has still a shot. Of course, you know, that was a split decision make, you know, from him, so of course he's not going to think of that, but unfortunate.
GungFuBanda investing in more than just one Oracle. The problem is, as you stated, there's already Widow Mines out. Not only that, but he saw there's more than enough Marines to deal with this. I mean, you only really need about 6 or 7 if they're handled correctly, and this Oracle's going to have its hands full for sure. Now, the Woodmines and the Marines are broken out. That medevac will be out in due time, and there's more than enough Marines left at home to deal with this. I really don't see this as a big threat for 4GG.
No. And did he reposition his Widow Mine? Actually, just lifted it up. He's gonna have to turn around. They're gonna barely pass each other. Oh my god, they don't see each other. That's gonna be that's gonna be good for GungFuBanda. Oh, there's Marines. Never mind.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just saying about. He's still got so many Marines after that pickup with the drop. Like, it's a non-issue. Cannons are coming down, though, because, again, this is kind of the expected response. He saw the Widowmine earlier. He knew that there'd be an attempt to drop at some point. So at least detection won't be an issue. The big question is for GG, does he drop within range of the cannon? Because if you do, of course, then nothing good is going to happen to that drop.
You can just drop on top of the army at this point, because if you put it right here, it's in between the it can be in between the cannons.
He keeps it from going off.
Yeah.
He picked off that probe quite nicely.
Well, now he's there's not a second cannon or photon overcharge right now, and
doesn't realize this a second Widowmine does cost that stalker its life. Might get another one on the way out. Of course, picking up and getting out for the time being is much more important. That Widowmine will recharge in due time, and the Oracles that were out, of course, on the other side of the map are in the natural base, getting a couple kills, 4 kills on this one, but again, with the Marine coverage, not going to happen. But the main is left unguarded, actually, and this Oracle has a lot of energy because it never used any early on. Oh, this is going to be a bloodbath.
Pull the SCVs. Pull the SCVs. 4 Marines is not enough, unless you have a medevac, so he does have to run away. So that was actually pretty scary, but luckily not too many SCVs went down. And he almost gets it with a drop.
16 health. Right. I think it was it you I was casting with when Apocalypse was trying to defend against this, and he kept the Oracles kept getting away with like 10 health every single time.
Yep.
That's the very familiar feeling we're watching right now, as these Oracles are, of course, incredibly loaded but not dead. Now, what's really important behind this is GungFuBanda, interestingly enough, didn't go for the armor upgrades, didn't go for charge lots or anything like that, but has gone for weapon upgrades. Twilight Council on the way. I really hope this wouldn't be Blink. I mean, you can try and make Blink work versus Terran, but I feel it's not nearly as effective at this stage of the game. Once they've got their production up, once they've got units and medevacs available to deal with it.
Well, he seems to be getting going up to Colossus, so eventually he will be getting Blink. Definitely want to invest into that if you're investing into a lot of Colossus. But as far as do you get it automatically or do you save the gas for Colossus plus range, I think it would be the latter.
I'm sorry, side note, that stalker was the dumbest stalker. It had range on the Widowmine, the Observer gave it vision, and it still walked too close and died to the Widowmine that's still in the main of GungFuBanda.
Oh, huge drops coming down. 4 medevacs full of nothing but Marines, and without a Colossus, these Marines are going to live for quite a while. There's no splash damage to take care of them, and they're going to go straight for the Nexus.
Oh, that is going for the throat, and then some. Sim, not quite done yet, so like seconds away, he now finishes up. Still going to try and stubbornly focus this down. Can he get this? This will be huge if he gets it, but it's going to really come down to the wire. There's not many Marines left, and it barely falls. 2 Marines escape the massacre. Now for GungFuBanda, this throws a huge wrench in his plans, because now he can't really afford to go for the Colossus as quickly as he wants to. I mean, still going to get them out, but this is the difference of having like 3 or 4 Colossus out versus like 1.
Let's not forget that ForGG gave away most of, if not his entire army at that time. Now, of course, he has a lot of production back home when he's producing a whole lot of Marines, so they're going to be producing pretty fast. But, if he gets Colossus out fast enough, he could try and maybe push, but no, instead he just takes a 3rd expansion. Interesting choice. ForGG is already moving out again, and he should be checking that 3rd.
Worth noting, too, that Oracle did try and come back in. Neither Oracle has actually died yet, but he has been making pretty good use of Revelation. He sees this army coming thanks to the couple of Marines that got Revelationed upon. So between that and the Watchtower, GungFuBanda knows what's coming, but does that mean he can necessarily stop it? He's moving to intercept, but this is 1 Colossus. This is... Actually, with no Marauders here, this is actually not that scary. 4GG is going to need to pull back from this.
Yeah, that's exactly right. 4GG is pretty much nothing but Marines. There was an Oracle, by the way, harassing the natural mineral line, gets a few more SCVs, a total of 8 for a Protoss player. Not that great, actually, for 2 Oracles. Surprising, but 4GG did a great defense. So, yeah, he really can't push into a Colossus right now until he has, at the very least, Vikings, but definitely also more Marauders.
Yeah, the nice thing about Marauders, of course, for those who don't know, they innately do match the range of the Colossus until Extended Thermal Lance is out. But, of course, if you've got no Marauders, then that's not even something to consider.
Oh, there is no Extended Thermal Lance, and he has yet to start it as well. But he started Blink, which, I mean, I feel like you would get the Lance before the Blink, but...
Maybe he's expecting the classes to get shut down too quickly. I say with a question mark. I don't know. Tech swaps and PvT are quite prevalent. Start with Colossus, moving to Templar shortly after, or vice versa. But yeah, continuing Colossus production. Maybe he did forget it straight up. This is the third one coming out, and of course, two Colossus. I mean, even with good force fields, they're not exactly the most durable things. They look scary, but their health pool isn't as big as you would imagine.
Oh wow! At this point, I have to believe he forgot it. He's already invested in not only Blink but also +3 weapons. So he should have gotten the gas for either one of those and put it into Extended Thermal Lance. And this is going to be really bad because the Vikings are going to get clearer shots at them, and the Marauders can actually, like you said, hit them if they get close enough at all. So this is it's going to be a lot more difficult, and hopefully Banda actually recognizes this fast enough and doesn't die because of it, so he can fix that mistake.
I like the use of the hallucination, expecting that push, by the way, but instead, of course, ForGG goes home to deal with the Oracle. I love, again, that the fact that these Oracles have lived this entire time. Okay, it finally goes down. But I mean, that just brought the entire army back. Even if it's only for like 5 seconds, that's the next Colossus coming out. That's 2 extra hallucinations, that's however you want to look at it. It's time bought. But this army coming in is looking pretty scary. These Vikings are getting to that point where they can almost start one-shotting the Colossus if he gets a couple more in here.
Yeah, there are a lot. Factory will be soaking up hits from the Blink Stalkers. It's burning, so it might go down eventually. He scans ahead and notices, hey, that's hallucination. We'll have to scan again to make sure it doesn't target on an accident if he decides to engage here. This should happen before +3 weapons finishes, but what are the upgrades on ForGG? Just a 1-2 versus 2-0. It's actually pretty good, and he goes for it.
The Colossus
so fast, and he's scanning, so he doesn't take on the hallucinated one.
And the problem on top of this, too, again, like, okay, the Marauders are going to push this back. There's still a lot of Blink Stalkers, but that Thermal Lance needed to be available. That needed to be ready, and a lot of people don't know this, but Vikings actually trade pretty well versus Stalkers, despite the Blink. There's still Marauders in this army. Medevac's coming to the front lines, of course, still standing strong. Lifts up the Vikings to kill that Colossus. And looks like ForGG should be able to shut, at least, if not the game here, at least this base.
Yeah. He also starts Thermal Lance. That was a definite mistake, and he noticed it. But it's far too late. He's not even building any more Colossus. He's getting Immortal, so the Thermal Lance is not going to help whatsoever. +3 weapons is going to finish, which... might help,
again,
I don't know.
Too late, I think. This base is absolutely going to fall. If he stays in this game, it's going to be off a very hampered economy, but never mind. Good game's going to be called. And Zombie Grub, is it just me, or does that seem to be like the one upgrade everybody forgets in StarCraft 2? Like, you sometimes see stim delayed, you very rarely see metabolic boost forgotten about, but Thermal Lance, it feels like one every 5 or 6 games someone forgets to make it or research it.
Yeah, that's true. I myself always forget to make combat shields in TVT.
You know what? I'm a victim of that too. Only TVT as well for some reason.
Yeah,
TVC,
right?
TVP, I never slip on that. But next map is going to be Frost, guys. We're going to pop up a quick 30-second ad while we get into the lobby for this. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in.